Which one would you say is the hardest trade to work in? It's like if you were in a different trade, which one wouldn't you want to do at all?
Plastering.
Yeah, I'd say plastering.
That looks so hard. It just looks, I mean, it's very, very rewarding to do, but it just looks such hard work, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my arm would give out, not gonna lie.
Especially doing the ceiling, and then you've got to mix it and everything. Yeah, no. And the mess.
Oh.
No, I don't want to clean that up either.
At least that mess is outside.
Yeah.
And you can just push it to one side and let the wind take care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's electricians who do that.
I thought they zip tie everything together.
Yeah. And then just leaving a bundle for someone to trip over or tidy up after them.
So, what's the first trade to clock out early?
Plumbers and electricians.
I was about to, plumbers are...
Last to arrive, first to go. Absolutely guaranteed. We're first to arrive, last to go.
Drive off in the Porsches.
Yeah. If Porsche did a van, they'd have a Porsche van. Yeah.
So is there a trade you wish you tried but never got to?
Probably joinery, I'd say, because I did a little bit of woodwork in school, so I always it was either going to be brickwork or joinery for me.
Plumber and electrician again. Yeah. Because it just looks easy.
You have to drive off in your Porsche.
Yeah. They've got a lot of more thinking to do, but it's like if I can do plumbing and electrics around the house, simple stuff, and it's quite interesting. It's a lot cleaner. It's very rare you see a dirty plumber or electrician.
Yeah.
Unless they fell over in a puddle.
So what's the worst customer habit you can think of or that you've experienced?
Not putting the kettle on.
I'd say one thing like this before they're even customers is when it's hard to communicate with them. So the last ones that we had, we were trying to we needed water and such, and they'd never answer the doors, and they didn't have an outside tap, so we had to get them filled up in the kitchen, and they'd never answer the door. So I'd say poor communication can be a bad one.
We found out why though, because the youngest was a teenager who liked gaming, so he was headphones on. If anyone knocked on the door, he said, "Oh," we eventually talked to the customer and said, "Oh, he'll never answer the door, so you'll never get an answer while he's on his Xbox or whatever he was on." So we managed to grab them when we saw them, didn't we? Because they were out early, that late. So it was, and eventually they did start leaving the door open, didn't they, for us?
At least they started to leave it open then.
Yeah.
That was just down to communication. It's more my fault because we actually hadn't met the customers before we started. So we just turned up on day one and just started, and we never introduced us, never spoke to them. And then day one, we had problems in the foundations, and basically we said it's going to cost you an extra 900 quid for your job, and that's on day one, wasn't it? So that didn't start the job off very well because we had to go a lot deeper with the foundation. So once we got over that speed bump, everything sort of smoothed out a bit.
So what's the best practical joke that's ever been played on you on the job? Whether it's by each other or another customer or when you've had a collab?
I'm the butt of every joke. And you can list off the ones that you've done to me.
I can't think of ones that have been done to me. Ones I've seen done was...
You had a... Billy poured a load of water on you from the digger.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Not any water, it was out of the foundation, he was digging all the mud out, and as he swung round he sort of paused over the top of me and shook it a bit so it all... Another one I've seen years ago when I was an apprentice was when we used to have tin mugs. One of the joiners got the tin mug and nailed it to the table and put a bit of tea in the bottom of it. So, and then the other one was any cup knocked the handle off with a hammer and then put a bit of grease and put the handle back on with a bit of grease. So, pff.
And then you've done plenty to me. Thankfully not as brutal as that.
No.
You'd just drive off while I'm half in the van, so you'd try and make me fall out the van.
That would have been quite brutal if it worked.
And just thankfully innocent stuff that you've done to me, but...
We're not very stupid at work, are we?
No. Which is good.
Yeah.
The last one said that I think he had his boots nailed to the cabin floor.
I've heard that one on.
Put his feet in, he just
I've heard of plenty and seen plenty. I've seen a lad who's putting a mix in, and the mix was knackered back in the no health and safety days, and he just leaned over it for some reason. And he just grabbed his jumper, so he was going taking over the top, and his legs would fly over the top, and it get dragged underneath, and nobody helped him because everyone was laughing too much. I'll never forget that. And the noises he was making as he was going round, it sounded like he was on a roller coaster.